Testimony service is a staple of a lot of churches, particularly in the Pentecostal church. Testimony time is when the preacher comes back and says, "Those who overcame in the last days overcame by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony." And the testimony service sometimes has have their own bit of frustration because some testimony services turn into a top this. If they got a $10,000 raise on the job, somebody's got to get up and say they got a $20,000 raise, and then somebody's got to say that they got a $40,000 raise. That's then some people get up and are just simply off. When they go, to quoting wild things from the lost books. So a lot of pastors have weighed ending testimony service at all. But it can be frustrating for a pastor to open up testimony and so it's someone say, "Tell of the goodness of the Lord." And they just sit there and look at you as if the Lord hadn't done any great things for them. And then the Lord just dropped something on me this morning. That some of the best testimonies can't be shared publicly. You can't be that person that has a propensity for stealing purses and tell the saints, "The Lord has delivered me from stealing purses," and expect the saints to treat you the same. Or if you're that woman, "I used to take women's husbands," and expect the female saints to ever feel good about you being around their man again. Some testimonies are simply not expedient. So some of the greatest testimonies have not been shared because they can't be told. The late Bishop G.E. Patterson used to say that you don't know who your neighbor is at the church. He says some of these old sainted mothers and sainted deacons and holy deacons, you don't know their story after they've just been saved so long and they just seem to bask in that glow of holiness. But over time I started to meet them. "Steve, I got a murder charge," or "Steve, I used to stab people," or those are one-on-one testimonies that sometimes are not good to tell all the saints. And you'd be just, "I'm blown away. That can't be you. That wasn't you." So look, sometimes all the testimonies that you hear publicly, some of the greatest testimonies are there privately. They can't share it. They can't tell you that they went to bed with the person that sent all them other people to the cemetery. There's some of the greatest testimonies of all time can't be shared. And sometimes, I know so many people believe God over theory. But so many of us know him through experience. We've seen him show up as a doctor in the sick room and a lawyer in the courtroom and a bridge over troubled water and a friend in a lonely hour. So many of us didn't meet him in the classroom. Some of us met him on the battlefield. So it's every now and then that God has to drop something on you. And like he did me today. So don't ever be frustrated with the saints when you open testimony hour and nobody says nothing. I remember a guy telling me, and this was a testimony in itself, he was at this man's lady's house. They didn't have a ring, but they had a public relationship. And the door is locked on the hinges, steel door. And this guy with his brute strength snatched the door, locked door, off at his hinges. How many of y'all know that when you got a chance to get away from that, that's a testimony? You probably can't tell the saints. The saints won't smile about that. But some of the greatest testimonies of all time are the ones that can't be told. "Oh, you got your nose down." Okay, you knew that person at the beauty shop or the barber shop that had that little credit card scheme where you can, they work at the post office and they can share this and share that, and all of a sudden you got some of the goods. And everybody else went to jail and they never found you. Every now and then, God can bless you, or you buy from that booster. Then the booster starts selling you bigger stuff. All of a sudden, the booster left selling the little imitation knockoffs, and all of a sudden you picking up a Louis here, a Gucci here, a Bergen bag maybe. It's kind of smoking. Look, some of the greatest testimonies that the saints can ever know is what God kept you from, or what could have happened. Sometimes it's those dangers, not the ones that you saw, it's the dangers unseen. And that powers your testimony. So never think that the sum total of every testimony in a worship service are the people that get up and speak. Some of the people that are sitting there silent have powerful testimonies that can be used one-on-one. They just may not be expedient to all of the saints. Be blessed.